Welcome to Your Perspektif, a series proudly presented by Perspektif magazine.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan.
And I'm Jessica.
And welcome to Your Perspektif.
In this episode of Your Perspektif, we are going to discuss about the coming back of the 90s era thinness to today's society.
Is that the Kate Moss supermodel era?
Yes, it is indeed the Kate Moss supermodel era. Before we go into the deep dive of this topic, let's first start with discussing body image.
Part 1. Body image.
So, body image is actually a person and a societal perception of their physical self, which forms the thought and feelings that can be positive, negative, or both.
So I'm guessing it changes over the years because apparently in the history until now it's very different.
Quick History 101.
So the ideal body image from the prehistory to the 1600s is portrayed through the forms of statues in which women are mostly round in shape and have pear-shaped figures with large breasts.
The 17th and the 18th century in the forms of paintings, which women are portrayed to be curvy and voluptuous.
Yes, women are portrayed to be more curvy and voluptuous, and it is also the invention of
the famous corset. Guarantee you have that snatch waist even though they are clearly unrealistic, while at the cost of indigestion, back muscle atrophy, and possibly deformed ribcage.
Meanwhile, in the 19th century, women are typically drawn to be tall and voluptuous with the slim waist as a result of the corset in magazines and photographs.
And in the 20th century, apparently, 1920s, they focused more on the dapper style, which women drawn as very slender and slim.
However, in the 1940s and 1950s, curvy women began appearing more in media. Women like Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. During the 1960s and 1970s, the media tends to portray beautiful women as more slim and also as more thin. So yeah, thin women comes back in the media in the 1960s and 1970s. And in the 1980s, it is so much more perpetuated because athletic figure and flashy women with toned and slim figures were present more in the media. Women like Jane Fonda, Cindy Crawford, etc.
Part 2. The 1990s Heroin Chic.
What is Heroin Chic?
Well, Heroin Chic essentially began as an art form in photography. Heroin Chic is the child of what we know as dirty realism, which is characterized by a brevity of language, concise description, a lack of adverbs, and an interest in everyday life.
Basically, there were rejection against the glamorous 80s, and then it transitioned into the 90s where people are faced with like the sad truth of reality. Heroin chic pictures, it lack of interiorism, and then like confused expression, little to no clothing, and then insinuating like drug abuse.
Yes, it is enunciating drug abuse also because drug is associated with femininity as it is associated with a sign of weakness and is a sad truth of reality, which these photos are trying to show, right? And it is also more associated with women because oftentimes a woman are portrayed as has to be more weak while man needs to look stronger. That's why they are so thin and associated with drug abuse.
The term heroin chic is not actually about drugs or heroin.
Yes, it is more associated towards thinness rather than drug abuse. Thin is the ideal that also promotes fashion to be more accessible and relatable because it is the reality, therefore promoting consumerism. And body image in fashion, which is thinness, as stated before, essentially started due to the rise of dirty realism. Images such as being really skinny is published in the magazine, and also unhealthy diets and shaming celebrities who are slightly heavier than the expected weight. And the very famous quote by Kate Moss also perpetuates this idea of having to be thin because she stated, "Nothing tastes good as skinny feels," to pressure the public to fulfill the beauty standards.
So the 90s beauty standards basically suggest that women should look very thin, with bones protruding outside of their skin.
That is also the reason why during the 90s, anorexia nervosa was associated with the highest rate of mortality among all mental disorders, according to the study in current psychiatry reports.
Part 3. Thinness is returning, people.
Over the years, we have seen the media being flooded with curvier bodies. Does this mean that thinness is gone? I don't think so.
Yeah, sadly, no, because thinness is actually returning to present day. And we can see this by the return of the 2000s skinny fashion, promoted by brands like Miu Miu in their 2022 Runaway, where they, promote the very micro skinny low-rise skirts, and also by Blue Marine in their 23 Runaway. Yeah, we can see that they are creating very mini little clothing, which is not that size inclusive. Even though Miu Miu did try to be more size inclusive in their photo shoot, but they do not actually sell the plus size choice for the skirt.
Oh, and another thing that I'm seeing currently on social media is that skinny body trend are returning to be praised on TikTok. I see that people using Ozempic, which was supposed to be a diabetic drug, it's already in short supply, but people are using it to slim down the fast way. And another trend is apparently body checking, where people posting their their shapes of their bodies, and then videos of themselves examining their figures, where every protruding bone that comes out is documented as accomplishments.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it's also because while in the 90s we have Kate Moss as the public figure who promote thinness, now we actually have the Kardashians who is the trendsetters, right? And we achieve this more curvier beauty standard and more inclusive towards plus size bodies because, well, the Kardashians do BBLs and stuff, right? But now we see that Kim Kardashian actually reversed her BBL, promoting thinness. And she also publicly promotes extreme diet in preparation of the Met Gala so that she can fit into the Marilyn Monroe dress. And she also does tummy tightening treatment, which, well, basically saying that thin is back in. And the inclusion that we have achieved over the last 10 years with body positivity and body neutrality movement is going to feel like a whiplash in terms of going back. And, well, it's going to feel like, again, we are going to resent fat bodies.
Part 4. Conclusion.
So, in conclusion, after our discussion, the idea of thinness never really went away. Currently, people are more intertwined with each other with the existence of social media compared to the 90s. And thinness is seen as a relatively achievable idea, but by seeing it this way, it's actually a dangerous thing to pursue.
Yeah, basically it's both a pressure and also a temptation. It encourages you to take care of yourself, but you also need to know how to limit yourself. Ignore the impulses of restrictive and unhealthy diets which upset you, and be more accepting of your bodies because in the end, everybody is beautiful. So I think that is all for the second episode. We hope you enjoy it and learn a thing or two.
And thank you for watching.
Bye!
Like and subscribe.